Let's head over to Ukraine now, to the advisor to the Ukrainian Defence Minister, Yuriy. He's there and joins us now. Yuriy, many thanks for your time. And firstly, your response to the President's speech this week.
Hello, Erin, and many thanks for inviting me. Before I comment on your question, I would like to say that listening to your reporting just now gives me a clear understanding of what we knew for such a long time, that Australia is indeed one of the strongest Ukrainian partners in this battle for freedom. And we as a people are very grateful to Australia and Australian people and Australian government for the support that we are receiving, which I'm sure we will have an opportunity to discuss in a bit more detail in a while. But as for the announcement of the partial mobilization in Russia by their leader, of course, it's a sign of desperation and weakness. Since the beginning of September, Ukrainian army was very successful at conducting counter-offensive operations in the Kharkiv region as well as in Kherson region. So the fact that they need now to mobilize what they've said, 300,000 new soldiers, those unprepared soldiers, means that we are right when we're saying that the Russian army at the moment, those who are on the battlefield, they are degraded, they're demoralized, and they're falling apart. At the same time, I must say that we are not euphoric. And the worst mistake that you can do when you're on a battlefield is to underestimate your enemy. So we must not be complacent. And when I say we, I mean both Ukraine and our international allies. We must not think that this is over, because as you know, it is not over until it's over. So 300,000 new conscripts, even if they're unwilling to fight, it is still a force to be reckoned with. And what I have to underline here is that, of course, Putin and his propaganda machine and his army, they are not intended to stop in Ukraine. This is a threat, and you rightly said that we are fighting for the future of Europe. And I'm very grateful that when you began this reporting, you said that this is a war in Europe. So Putin is not planning to stop. And we hope and we are almost confident that our allies understand this. So, the next stages will be decisive, and we need the support of our allies.
Absolutely. No, you're so correct on that. And people need to understand that it impacts far greater a region than even just Europe, to be honest. The whole world is at stake here to a degree. Looking at your president, he's come out and said that he's urging the reservists who do not want to fight to sabotage from within. How realistic a prospect is that? He's also invited them to come over the border to Ukraine. Can you see that actually happening?
We do not have yet information about the exact instances, but of course, I'm sure you have seen that there are long, sometimes up to 16 kilometers queues on the borders, with Finland, Russia, with Finland, with Georgia, with Belarus, with Baltic republics. And of course, there are thousands of those who are subject to mobilization who are willing to flee. And of course, this shows, the fact that these people are fleeing, this massive exodus. It just shows that Russia, in its present shape and form, does not have a future, because its future actually is trying to leave its territory. On the other hand, Ukrainian army, we are fighting for our land. We are fighting for our families. We have seen atrocities on a scale that was unseen after the Second World War. And we are confident that we can win. And as our Minister of Defense, Mr. Alexei Reznikov, keeps repeating to our allies, give us the tools and we will finish the job. And I would like to use this opportunity to also highlight that the support of the Australian government, which was facilitated by the Ukrainian embassy in Australia, in the form of Bushmasters, have been absolutely fantastic and spectacular. The Bushmasters have been used very efficiently by our army during the Kharkiv counteroffensive. They've been on the front lines and they've been magnificent. So thank you very much again for this support. And please bear in mind that we need more of this support at this stage. And in particular, we know that you have another magnificent military vehicle, which is called Hawkei. And, we encourage your government to consider supporting Ukraine by sending us more of those as well.
We will make sure that if they're not watching now, that we make sure the right people see that request for help, and I'm so glad the Bushrangers have done a good job for you. You mentioned the atrocities. We've seen some of those images of mass graves. I think the UN has come out very recently with further evidence of human rights abuses and absolute atrocities committed on the people of Ukraine by the Russians. Do you see a time where justice will ever prevail in this space? Will they ever be held to account?
Look, Erin, I want to say to you the following. That, look, me in my capacity, I have to deal with these discoveries of these atrocities almost on a daily basis. So you would think that after 7 months of this war, I would be hardened by seeing these evidences, and I would be, thinking more pragmatically. But I'm not, trust me. Every time when I have to see the evidences of these new war crimes, these new atrocities, something breaks in me. Something breaks in me, but makes me and the rest of the Ukrainian people more determined to continue to fight. And we understand, and we are confident that we will win this war, and we are confident that when we do this, we will set up, with the help of the international community, an international war crimes tribunal, and we are committed to bringing every war criminal who set foot on the Ukrainian soil and who is responsible for killing our civilians. We will bring them to justice. And this is actually something that was reiterated just 2 days ago by the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres at the UN. He said as well that, all of these war crimes, they are now documented, they're reported, and when the time comes, there will be a war crimes tribunal and everyone will be brought to justice. Everyone will be brought to justice.
I hope that is right. I really do. Yuriy, I've got about a minute to go. How do you win this war? And I understand that's probably a silly question. It's a complex one. How does Ukraine win this war? What's the next step?
You win this war by embracing a very simple truth of life, that courage is stronger than fear. We have demonstrated to the world the veracity of this saying, right? So courage is stronger than fear. We are determined to win. We call on our international partners to stand with Ukraine. We call on our international partners to continue to provide Ukraine with more weapons. And right now, the crucial thing is for Ukraine to receive tanks, to receive combat aircraft, and to receive air defense and anti-rocket systems. So please send us the weapons, and we will finish this job, and we will make the world a better place and a more safe place again.
Yuriy Sak, thank you so much for your time, and best of luck. We're all with you here in Australia. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me.